All right, folks, Yishai Fleisher here in Israel. JD Vance. JD Vance wants you to know he wears the pants. The pants are JD Vance. That is the energy that he's exuding out there. He's sending a signal to Israel. Well, you better get in line. You better get in line because some of your cabinet members have criticized, right? Like we're talking about democracy here, right? We're talking about conversation. And we'll actually get to a few more points about why I think it's totally normal for Israeli ministers to show some concern about this bad deal that's actually endangering our lives. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's watch JD Vance exude that he wears the pants. Let's see this.
What I will say, and this does bother me.
He's bothered. He's bothered. He wants you to know that. It's not exactly diplomatic language, and this bothers me. Usually we say, well, you know, this country should consider this and that. Okay, he wants you to know that it's bothering him personally.
And this does bother me, is that you've seen people within Bibi's cabinet who have come out and attacked the deal and in some ways very personally attacked the President of the United States. And I guess my message to them would be twofold. Number one, Donald J. Trump is the only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this moment in time. And he happens to be the head of state of the world's superpower. If I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world.
Number one is, I hear what you're saying, but we have other friends as well. If it's in India or if it's in Micronesia, I don't like this idea that the only head of state that is sympathetic to Israel is the United States. Although I am appreciative of that sympathy, and I think that we've had a great run and a great relationship with President Trump. But to kind of accentuate that Israel is all on its own and like you need us, it's not comfortable for me. Also, as I said in the short video that I made about this very same topic, I said that the thing is with JD Vance at this moment is he doesn't know the Jews. The Jews, right? The folks that stood up to the Romans twice, maybe even more times in antiquity, stood up to them and revolted. Jews are not the folks that you tell them like hem it in and say what we say. Jews do not do that. It's not because he's an anti-Semite here. It's because he's not historical. He's not thinking about this historically. You just don't say to the Jews, say exactly the right line because that's the way we're going to get along. Jews don't do that. We can't get our Jews to do that. We can't get government ministers to not go against, the prime minister or something like that. It doesn't work that way. The other thing is here, JD, if I may, and I don't mean to be rude, I just want to say to you, Mr. Vice President, I'll use it more honorifically, Mr. Vice President, you have to understand this is an existential question for us. This is a question of a gun being put to our kids' heads. The question of Iran, the question of letting Iran off the hook, giving them money, letting them have a nuclear arsenal of some kind, these are not theoreticals. These are not far away from us. We know the hand of Iran. Just today, 4 soldiers were killed by Hezbollah, an Iranian proxy. So when you kind of say, well, you guys have to all just fall in line with the president, that's A, not our way, and B, we're concerned. We're actually concerned. This is an actual problem. And you can hear many pundits, on the right in the United States who are also concerned about this deal. So please, why are you hyper fixated on a few cabinet ministers in Bibi? I don't like that he says Bibi either, right? Just like I should say, Mr. Vice President, he should say the Prime Minister of Israel. It's not your buddy or your serf. That's the kind of energy that JD gives off. Like, people are under my tutelage, they're my subjects, and they best not act up. It's just there's something not quite diplomatic and not quite. Unlike President Trump, who knows the Jews, you seem to not know the Jews. Maybe in Appalachia there, they don't have a lot of Jews. I get it. And really, I'm not saying here that it's anti-Semitism. And I'll tell you why, because JD Vance shows this kind of behavior with Zelensky as well, with Ukraine. He has a kind of power, I'm the big boy on the block type of attitude. It's not exactly diplomatic. It's kind of rough. It's kind of rough. It's kind of a beat 'em up type of thing. Show who's boss. That's why I say JD Vance wants to, wears the pants. Okay. But the other thing is, Mr. Vice President, please take into account we're dealing here with an existential question. Okay. And with regarding to Israel being not very liked in this world, well, I wonder, I wonder whose fault that is exactly. But okay, we can talk about that a little bit later. Let's get back to JD's Vice President Vance's other comments to Israel.
And the second message I would give to some of those cabinet members, Bibi, to his credit, has not gone down this path, but to some of these cabinet members in Israel who are attacking the President of the United States, the other thing that I would say...
Attacking the President of the United States? Is that correct verbiage? When somebody yells out and says we're in grave danger, would you call that an attack on the United States? I wouldn't. Okay. I would say that people here want to ensure the survival of their country and their children. I don't think there's an attack on the President of the United States. I think there is concern about this deal, and I think that's legitimate concern.
Is that over the last 3 months, 2/3 of the defensive weapons that have protected your homeland have been built by American hands and paid for by American tax dollars. The problem for Israel is not Donald J. Trump. And anybody in Israel who thinks their biggest problem is the President of the United States needs to wake up and smell the reality of the situation that country is in. Thank you all.
Final statement is the weapons that were used to defend you were American made. That's wonderful. That's great. And American paid for. Wonderful. But you're not going to use those weapons anymore. So what are you touting that? You're saying those weapons that were used, you got to be grateful. But now that we're going to give money to Iran and no weapons will be used anymore, you got to still be grateful? You're talking about war against Iran and now backtracking away from that war. And by the way, when you're dealing with a human being like President Trump, shouldn't we be voicing concerns and discourse? What, do you want to shut us all up and let us go quietly into the night or into the next Holocaust, a nuclear Holocaust? Sorry, Vice President Vance. With respect, I think that we have to have open conversation. We have to air our concerns. You can't say that the weapons that you used yesterday, you should be thankful for. Our enemies are trying to rearm as we speak. In Lebanon, in Gaza, in Iran. And so, yes, we still have that concern. And yes, we will voice it. And yes, you should know that you're dealing with the Jews. You don't want to deal with the Jews. That's a different thing. But don't expect us to be, ninnies and quietly, following orders. You got the wrong Semites, bro. You got the wrong group of people. We're not going to do it that way. It's not going to work. Believe me, we can't get our people to do what you're asking for ourselves, and certainly not for you either. Okay. And that's the situation. I want to tell you that this week I heard Ambassador Huckabee twice. And in both those times, I heard him speak so totally differently, including speaking so beautifully about the fact that it's not that Israel is the outpost of Westernness in America in the Middle East. The fact is that the U.S. is an outpost of biblical values and the biblical story in the West. And this is exactly what my friend Zev Ornstein said to me exactly that amazing phrase. He said to me, it's not that Israel is the outpost of America. It's that actually America is the outpost of Israel in the West and its values and the biblical values. And that's the way that Ambassador Huckabee spoke. There is a huge gap, a rift between that humility before the God of Israel and before the miracle of Israel and this attitude that we saw in the video with Vice President Vance, which has a hubris, has an authoritarian type of tone, not a very diplomatic and not very democratic tone. And that is what we need to ensure the safety of the future, Mr. Vice President. And we here in Israel will be raucous because that is our nature. And we will push back against Hezbollah and Hamas and Iran because that is the mandate that our children and grandchildren are demanding of us to fulfill, which is to protect the nation of Israel in concert with America, in concert with allies. And there will be many allies around the world that will be sympathetic to Israel because Israel is a blessing to the world. Folks, I know that you're part of the blessing to the world when you love Israel. We're going to build Israel together, and you can support us through buildisrael.com. Your support is absolutely imperative. Let's show Vice President Vance how many people around the world support Israel. Buildisrael.com. Check out biblicalhighway.com if you want more information on this an amazing story of Route 60 becoming the biblical highway here in the land of Israel, teaching the stories of the Bible. And finally, you could check out buymeacoffee.com/Yishai to support my team. Buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. And we put out great, amazing content, original content here from the land of Israel. Stay strong. Stay vigilant. Stay part of the story. Don't let anybody shut your voice down. That's not the way it works. You're not shutting us down. We're not living in that kind of time. We're out. We're proud. We're loud. And God is with us, and we are with God. Let's make God's name great again. God bless you wherever you are. Lots of love and blessings from the land of Israel, from the heartland of the Holy Land, and shalom.